Welcome back to This Is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Commander, Tough Rules, and Cool Interactions, episode 113. Today's episode is going to take a look at one of the newly spoiled commanders from the upcoming Murders at Markov Manor. This card is insanely powerful and is likely to see a whole lot of play because of this, so I want to make clear as to how it works and also suggest a card that is very synergistic with it. So let's take a look at this new card. Judith, Carnage Connoisseur, says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink, or create a 2/2 red imp creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. So if that text doesn't scare you, like it does scare me, let's dive in and see if we can figure out why it should scare you. In the last few years, we've seen a lot of commanders printed that enable bad spells, bad burn spells that hit all creatures or even all creatures you don't control to become scarier cards by increasing their damage. But I think that this new Judith takes the crown as the queen of this effect. If you overload an Electrickery while she is out, then it will result in 1 damage to all creatures you don't control. Not only does this gain you a ton of life from her granting Electrickery lifelink, but for just 2 mana, you've done a nearly one-sided board wipe. I say nearly, yes, because indestructible creatures and those who have protection from red will still survive, but everything else on your opponent's board will not. And that's pretty dang scary, that's pretty dang crazy for how many of those cards that exist like Electrickery. Now, I'm going to suggest that you also look into running some of the spells that deal more than just 1 damage to your opponent's creatures, as well as these 1 or 2 damage ones. Yes, the spells getting Death Touch makes the amount of damage they deal beyond 1 pretty redundant, but for one, it will increase the amount of life that you gain even further, but also, there's another legendary creature in red that can really help you to close out a game in a Judith deck. Not that you're going to need help having a cleared board every single time. But yeah, Torolf, God of Fury, says that whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Torolf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. So how do these interact? Trample is most widely associated with excess damage, but when we take a look at Comprehensive Rules 120.4a, we can see that it says, first, if an effect that's causing damage to be dealt states that excess damage that would be dealt to a permanent is dealt to another permanent or player instead, the damage event is modified accordingly. If the first permanent is a creature, the excess damage is the amount of damage in excess of what would be lethal damage, taking into account damage already marked on the creature and damage from other sources that would be dealt at the same time. Any amount of damage greater than 1 is excess damage if the source dealing that damage to a creature has Death Touch. Now, there is more text there for 120.4a, but that isn't really relevant to this episode. All that we care is what I said there. Now, when Judith grants Death Touch to your overloaded Mizzium Mortars that deals 4 damage to all creatures you don't control, then every one of them will be dealt 1 damage, and then Torolf will see 3 excess non-combat damage on each and every one of those creatures, letting you now assign 3 damage to the opponents themselves with the Torolf. That's pretty wild. One thing to note, though, when you're dealing the damage from Torolf's triggers, the Torolf is now the source of the damage, so it will not still have lifelink or Death Touch granted to it from your Judith. So here's a bonus question scenario. You control Judith and Torolf, and you overload the Mizzium Mortars while your opponents A, B, and C each control 5 creatures that are all 5/5s. Opponent A, in response to the Mizzium Mortars, casts a Heroic Intervention, which says, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. How will this unfold for each of your opponents? How many total Torolf triggers will there be, and or how much total damage will you have to assign with the Torolf? How does that indestructible and the hexproof change things if it does? It may not actually change things. Who knows? Let me know. And then also a second bonus question. You cast a Chandra's Ignition targeting your own Judith. It's a sorcery that says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. Let's use the same board state as the previous bonus question. You have your Judith and Torolf, and then your opponents each have 5/5/5 creatures. What will be the result? How much total life will you gain? Anyhow, that's all I've got for today's episode. As always, I hope that all of you have found this video to be entertaining at least, and I hope that a few of you have even learned something about the crazy rules in this great game of Magic. Have a good one. Ta-ta. This Judith is insane. That is bonkers. For anybody sticking around, I hope you guys are surviving this winter. I'm looking at like 7-ish inches outside right now. It's very cold, and sorry if that noise has been coming through. I usually remove some of the background noise from my videos, but that high-pitched noise is going to be a little tougher to remove because I'm wearing my Canadian weather jacket right now. So, yeah, I'm getting cold. I'm going to turn my heaters back on. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay warm out there. Ta-ta.